Now, the 14th National Congress of the Communist Party of Vietnam will take place from the 19th to the 25th of January, just under 2 weeks from now. This is a major political event for the entire party, the armed forces, and the nation, setting out Vietnam's vision, goals, and development direction for the next 5 years, and serving as a guiding framework for the entire political system and society. Now, building on the lessons learned from over 40 years of reform, the draft documents of the 14th National Party Congress set out the following targets. GDP growth of 10% or higher for the 2026 to 2030 term. GDP per capita of around $8,500 by 2030. And by 2030, Vietnam aims to become an upper middle income country with growth driven by technology and labor productivity, and with total factor productivity or TFP contributing to more than 55% of economic growth. The target of double-digit economic growth outlined in the draft documents of the 14th National Congress of the Communist Party of Vietnam stands out as a strategic highlight, reflecting the country's strong aspiration for a major breakthrough in the period ahead.
Welcome to our deep dive segment. In the first program of the new year 2026, let us take you on a journey across Asia. But before we do just that, first, let's rewind and see how 2025 shaped the region's travel scene. By the end of 2025, Asia has unmistakably found its travel rhythm again. Across the region, airports are buzzing, city streets are lively, and international visitors returning in full force. In just the first half of the year, the Asia-Pacific welcomed nearly 300 million overseas travelers, a recovery that's already brushing past 90% of pre-pandemic levels. From Tokyo and Seoul to Singapore and Bangkok, Asia's great urban hubs are once again topping global travel wish lists, buoyed by expanded flight routes and friendlier visa policies. And it's been a standout year for the region. Japan alone welcomed more than 40 million international visitors, while Southeast Asia saw strong momentum return in Thailand, Indonesia, and Vietnam, where arrivals surpassed pre-COVID levels with over 20 million foreign tourists. But beyond the impressive numbers, the way people travel is also changing. Visitors are lingering longer, spending more on cultural, wellness, and family-oriented experiences, and planning their journeys more thoughtfully, with sustainability and digital tools now part of everyday travel mindset.
In this segment of Newsline, we examined recent developments surrounding Venezuela, a country with some of the world's largest oil reserves. But beyond the numbers, what makes Venezuela's oil sector so distinctive? Let's unpack the story. Now, if you look at the data we've collected from the OPEC Annual Statistical Bulletin 2024, Venezuela leads all countries with 303 billion barrels of proven crude oil reserves, surpassing Saudi Arabia and representing nearly 20% of global reserves of 2023. Despite the sizable reserves, Venezuela produced just 0.8% of total global crude oil in 2023, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. Having the largest reserve does not mean Venezuela can produce oil at the same scale, and here's why. Now, as the map shows, most of the country's oil is located in the Orinoco Belt, where the crude is extra heavy, extremely thick, and difficult to extract. From the 1970s through the early 2000s, Venezuela was able to sustain high output through joint ventures with multinational energy companies, which provided capital, technology, and access to export markets. At its peak, the country produced more than 3.5 million barrels per day, ranking among the world's major oil suppliers, according to Reuters. Then, since the beginning of the 2000s, the Venezuelan administration required all foreign oil companies operating in Venezuela to convert their operating contracts into joint venture arrangements in which PDVSA held a controlling stake. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, in 2023, Venezuela produced 742,000 barrels per day of crude oil, a 70% cumulative decline from production levels in 2013. Output fell sharply, and the oil sector, once the backbone of the economy, entered a prolonged downturn. Now, following the news that President Nicolas Maduro and his wife were detained during a U.S. military operation, we're seeing major changes in global financial markets. We've reviewed some of the news outlets to provide you with more insights. Now that's some institutional milestones. And on the ground, we also see concrete progress in post-disaster recovery efforts nationwide. Now, the Gwangchung campaign has been carried out drastically. By December 30th, all 34,759 damaged houses have been repaired, with residents already moving back in. Meanwhile, 1,046 newly built homes have been completed, representing around 65.5% of the total, while the remaining houses are under accelerated construction. Prime Minister Phạm delivered this update at a conference reviewing the campaign's implementation on January 7th. He commended ministries, agencies, and local authorities for their proactive efforts, as well as urging local political systems to mobilize all available resources to ensure no citizen is left without shelter by January 15th. Beyond the campaign, provinces nationwide were asked to continue assessing housing damage caused by recent natural disasters. Now moving to this week's focus, the construction industry is projected to account for approximately 17.23% of the country's GDP in 2025, an increase of 0.17 percentage points compared to 2024, contributing about 1.96 percentage points to GDP growth, playing a crucial role in achieving 8.02% economic growth nationwide in 2025. Now this year, the construction sector will complete and open the entire North-South Expressway from Kaobang to Cà Mau. Furthermore, the spillover effect of the construction industry contributes approximately 4 to 5% to GDP through related sectors such as building materials, manufacturing, logistics, services, real estate, and domestic consumption. Now, in the 2025 economic structure, the industrial and construction sector will contribute nearly 44% to the total value added of the economy, highlighting the importance of the construction industry in the overall picture.
You're with our deep dive segment as we kick off 2026 by reviewing Asia's economic performance in 2025.
And the numbers really show the scale. According to the IMF's data in 2025, China will remain the region's largest economy with a GDP of around $19.4 trillion in 2025. Japan follows at around 4.28 trillion USD and India at 4.13 trillion USD. Together, these three account for roughly two-thirds of Asia and Pacific's total GDP of 40.6 trillion USD.
Right, that's a significant concentration of economic power. The top 5 largest economies in Asia by nominal GDP besides China, Japan, and India are South Korea with $1.86 trillion and Turkey at $1.57 trillion.
And looking globally, in 2025, 3 Asian economies, China, Japan, and India, secure spots in the global top 10 by GDP, showcasing the region's heavyweight status. Most Asian economies also post stronger GDP growth in 2025 compared to 2024, fueled by resilient domestic demand and export recovery.
So the takeaway, Asia continues to drive the global economy, with growth concentrated in a handful of powerhouse nations, a trend that will shape 2026.
Now, export turnover is estimated at $46 billion, or up around 5% compared to 2024. Notably, the export surplus reached $21 billion, marking the 10th consecutive year that the industry has maintained a surplus, a rare achievement amid ongoing global trade uncertainty. Now, Vietnamese textile and garment products are now present in 138 international markets, with the United States in the lead as the largest market, with exports to this market exceeding $18 billion, or up around 10%, and continues to act as the main driver of the industry's overall export growth. Well, thank you, Lok Zeung, for the latest updates from Ho Chi Minh City on the atmosphere surrounding the 14th National Party Congress. Looking back at the past year, Vietnam's infrastructure breakthroughs stand out as one of the most impressive achievements nationwide, says policy analysts and economic observers. At the 13th National Party Congress, leaders called modern integrated infrastructure a strategic breakthrough. By that, they mean infrastructure that connects roads to ports, rails to cities, and transport system to digital systems. So growth is faster, more efficient, and more balanced. Now, since 2020, Vietnam has more than tripled its expressways from 1,000 kilometers to 3,200. The North-South High-Speed Railway will connect Hanoi to Ho Chi Minh City, offering an alternative to long road journeys and short haul, 1,541 kilometers from Ngọc Hồi Station in Hanoi to Thủ Thiêm Station in Ho Chi Minh City. With these stops along the way, including Vinh, Đồng Hới, Huế, Đà Nẵng, Quy Nhơn, and Nha Trang, linking key economic and population centers. The central government agencies are currently coordinating with around 20 provinces and cities along the corridor to make this happen, with a goal of 2035. Now, according to official Ministry of Construction summaries, 564 key infrastructure works and projects were launched, inaugurated, or recorded nationwide in 2025, with nearly 140 major projects completed and put into operation. The total registered investment exceeded $205 billion, with approximately 75% coming from private and non-state capital and the remainder from public or state funding. Now, over here, the Red River Boulevard projects is designed to create a 40-kilometer riverfront corridor as a new strategic growth axis for Hanoi. City authorities say the corridor covers around 11,000 hectares across multiple wards and districts and is planned as an integrated urban and transport system, combining new bridges, arterial roads, public transport, green spaces, and cross-river links. According to Hanoi officials, the project aims to ease pressure on the historic inner city, strengthen connectivity, and open new development space. Groundbreaking for key components began in late 2025, marking the start of early-stage implementation. And finally, over here, there's Long Thanh International Airport, Vietnam's next major aviation hub. Key parts of the airport are now in place, including the runway where planes take off and landing, the taxiways that guide aircraft on the ground, and the apron where planes park, load passengers, fuel up, and are serviced. With these essentials completed, the airport is preparing flights used to check safety system, navigation, and ground operations before carrying passengers. The plan is to begin those test flights by the end of 2025, ahead of commercial operations in the first half of 2026. Draft documents for the 14th National Party Congress underscore a policy focus on improving capital mobilization. Efforts are underway to diversify funding sources and prioritize projects that deliver the strongest economic returns. To address this, policy is shifting away from heavy reliance on the state budget. Public-private partnerships, or PPPs, are being expanded, encouraging companies, banks, and investors to help finance roads, railways, metro systems, and airports. Now, in the Congress documents, strategic infrastructure refers to large-scale transport projects that strengthen regional connectivity, ease pressure on major cities, open up new development space, and gradually form the backbone of the national transport network. Throughout today's broadcast, we will connect live with multiple locations, offering viewers a comprehensive picture of how the historic moment is currently being observed nationwide. Our main point here will be in Hanoi, which will bring you the latest developments and expert insights, while reporters across the country capture the atmosphere on the ground. We'll be linking to our team at the National Convention Center, the venue of the Congress in Hanoi, to follow key moments of the opening ceremony. We'll also connect with our reporters in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam's economic hub, to hear reflections from citizens, businesses, and young people on the significance of this Congress. And from Da Nang, we'll explore perspectives from central Vietnam, a region playing an increasingly important role in the country's development and connectivity. We will also have a special live link from the Chương Special Administrative Region, the nation's frontline outpost.
Just before the time when the 6th National Party Congress took place in 1986, Vietnam was grappling with severe goods shortages, stagnant production, and a sharp decline in living standards. By the late 1980s, inflation reached nearly 774%, and per capita income stood at just $125 to $200, placing the country in tremendous difficulties. And over the following 4 decades, the economy steadily emerged from crisis. Between 1991 and 2016, export expanded roughly 60-fold and imports 80-fold, underscoring Vietnam's deepening integration into the global economy. An average GDP growth over the first 30 years of đổi mới approached around 7% per year, lifting millions out of poverty and laying the foundations for sustained development.
Thưa quý vị, Đại hội đại biểu toàn quốc lần thứ 14 của Đảng đã diễn ra thành công, hoàn thành toàn bộ nội dung chương trình đề ra. Đây là sự kiện chính trị trọng đại, đánh dấu một giai đoạn phát triển mới của đất nước. Kể từ Đại hội lần thứ 6 của Đảng năm 1986, trải qua 40 năm đổi mới, có thể thấy đất nước ta đã đi qua nhiều chặng đường khó khăn và thử thách. Và cũng giống như con tàu này, muốn về đích phải vượt đèo, vượt dốc, vượt núi cao. Mỗi kỳ Đại hội Đảng là một lần nhìn lại chặng đường đã qua, nhưng quan trọng hơn là xác lập tầm nhìn, khát vọng và những quyết sách chiến lược cho chặng đường sắp tới. Bởi vậy, các quyết sách của Đại hội 14 của Đảng không chỉ tác động đến nhiệm kỳ này, mà còn định hình hướng đi lâu dài của đất nước trong bối cảnh mới. Khi thế giới đang biến chuyển nhanh chóng, phức tạp và khó lường như hiện nay, con tàu của đất nước không chỉ vượt qua những khó khăn, những thử thách mà chắc chắn phải là con tàu hiện đại, chạy với tốc độ cao. Đại hội đại biểu toàn quốc lần thứ 14 của Đảng không chỉ là sự kiện chính trị trọng đại của đất nước mà còn thu hút sự quan tâm, theo dõi đặc biệt của cộng đồng quốc tế. Gần 900 thư và điện chúc mừng đã được gửi tới từ các chính đảng, tổ chức, bạn bè quốc tế và kiều bào ta ở khắp nơi trên thế giới. Nhiều tờ báo, hãng truyền thông lớn cũng đã dành những bài viết phân tích, bình luận sâu sắc, đánh giá tầm vóc và ý nghĩa của đại hội đối với con đường phát triển của Việt Nam trong giai đoạn mới. Trước khi tiếp tục cuộc trao đổi với hai vị giáo sư, xin mời quý vị cùng theo dõi những tổng hợp sau đây của chúng tôi. Thưa quý vị, Đại hội Đảng toàn quốc lần thứ 14 thành công đã mở ra một chặng đường mới, chặng đường của khát vọng phát triển, của niềm tin và hành động. Từ những quyết sách hôm nay, tương lai đất nước sẽ được kiến tạo bằng sự đồng lòng của toàn Đảng, toàn dân và cộng đồng người Việt Nam trên khắp thế giới. Chương trình Hướng về Tổ quốc xin được khép lại tại đây. Cảm ơn sự quan tâm theo dõi của quý vị và các bạn. Xin kính chào tạm biệt và hẹn gặp lại. Và cũng giống như con tàu này, muốn về đích phải vượt đèo, vượt dốc, vượt núi cao. Mỗi kỳ Đại hội Đảng là một lần nhìn lại chặng đường đã qua, nhưng quan trọng hơn là xác lập tầm nhìn, khát vọng và những quyết sách chiến lược cho chặng đường sắp tới.
The Vietnam-Israel Free Trade Agreement, or VIFTA, a key driver for boosting economic and trade ties between the two countries, is the focus of today's discussion. After more than 1 year of officially taking effect, on November the 17th, 2024, the Vietnam-Israel Free Trade Agreement, or VIFTA, has begun to demonstrate positive impacts on bilateral trade and investment, while opening up new growth momentum for the business communities of both countries. This is the first free trade agreement between Israel and a Southeast Asian country, and also Vietnam's first FTA with a partner in the Middle East and West Asia region, marking a significant step forward in Vietnam's strategy of market diversification. Now, at present, Israel is Vietnam's fourth largest export market and the third largest trading partner in the West Asia region. In 2025, total two-way trade between Vietnam and Israel is estimated to exceed $3.7 billion, of which Vietnam's export to Israel reached nearly $900 million, up more than 10% compared to the previous year.